a mysterious coin, a smiling scammer, and billions of dollars that vanished overnight. Welcome to the cult of Bitconnect. This is not a story about technology. It's a story about how human beings were programmed to believe, about how greed turns into faith, and how faith turns into destruction. And the worst part is that this pattern keeps repeating to this day. So pay attention, because everything you're about to hear has happened before. And it's happening again, in other coins, in other platforms, with different names, but with the same psychology, the same structure, the same script, and the same victims. Real people, real families, real dreams destroyed. You're going to understand why. And more importantly, you're going to learn to recognize it before it's too late. That's more valuable than any investment I could point you toward. So don't close this video, because what comes next may change the way you see money forever. It was 2017. The crypto market was on fire. Bitcoin had gone from $1,000 to nearly $20,000 in 12 months. Ethereum had risen more than 900% in the same period. Everyone who had bought earlier was getting rich in front of everyone else, and those who hadn't bought were desperate to get in. It was the biggest fear of missing out an entire generation had ever felt. FOMO, fear of missing out, the fear of being left behind. It wasn't irrational, it was human. You saw your neighbor talking about profits, your co-worker showing screenshots, WhatsApp groups exploding with news, influencers celebrating gains, newspaper headlines saying crypto was the future, teenagers becoming millionaires, garage stories turning into empires, and the feeling was clear: if you don't get in now, you're an idiot. And it was exactly in that emotional boiling pot that Bitconnect emerged, at a moment when the whole world was ready to believe anything, with a promise that was simple, clear, and completely impossible. Guaranteed profit of 1% per day. 1% per day. That equals 700% per year. For reference, Warren Buffett, considered the greatest investor in history, averages about 20% per year. Bitconnect was promising 185 times more, and nobody stopped to question it. Nobody asked where the money was coming from. Nobody demanded an audit. Nobody asked for proof. Because when everyone around you seems to be getting rich, questioning feels stupid. Questioning feels like jealousy, feels like fear, feels like weakness. And nobody wants to be the coward who stayed out. Nobody wants to be the person who said no and then watched everyone else get rich. That specific fear, that fear of being wrong by staying out, is more powerful than the fear of losing what you already have. And Bitconnect was built to trigger exactly that fear. The explanation was elegant. The platform claimed to have developed a proprietary trading bot, a secret algorithm that operated the market automatically. You put in the money, the bot worked. The profits arrived every day. It sounded modern. It sounded technological. It sounded like the future. But no technical proof of that bot was ever presented. No code, no audit, no verifiable track record. Just the platform's word. And that should have been the biggest red flag. But it wasn't. Because the platform wasn't selling technology, it was selling a dream. And when you're buying a dream, you don't ask for receipts. You want to believe, so you believe. That is the oldest mechanism of financial manipulation. Create a black box, call it innovation, and charge for access. Anyone who questions the black box is seen as ignorant. Anyone who trusts it is seen as visionary. And everyone wants to be visionary, especially when the entire market seems to confirm you're right. Especially when the numbers on the screen go up every day. Especially when friends thank you for referring them. What seemed too good to be true started to feel more and more real, until the day it wasn't anymore. Every cult needs a preacher. Bitconnect found its own in Carlos Matos. Carlos wasn't the founder of the scheme. He was an ordinary investor who believed so strongly that he became the human symbol of the fraud. In November 2017, he stepped onto the stage at an event in Bangkok, in front of a crowd of hundreds of people waving Bitconnect flags, with cameras pointed at him, with that energy that only exists when people believe their lives are about to change. That energy of someone who thinks they discovered the secret others haven't seen yet, and Carlos screamed, "Hey, hey, hey, Bitconnect!" The crowd exploded. Screams, applause, flags in the air. The video went viral within hours. It became a global meme. But beneath the meme, there was something disturbing. That crowd was real. That euphoria was real. And the money those people had invested was real too. Carlos wasn't a clown. He was proof that the scheme had created genuine belief. And genuine belief is the hardest trap to escape. Because you're not being deceived by a stranger. You're being deceived by your own faith, by your own hope. And when hope is the weapon used against you, the pain is different. It's deeper. It's more personal. It's the feeling that you were betrayed by yourself. But what nobody tells you is this: you didn't fail because you were stupid. You failed because the system was built to beat your brain. It was built by people who studied human psychology, who knew exactly which button to press, at which moment, with what intensity. You weren't in a financial market. You were in an emotional engineering operation. And that is the difference that changes everything. Understanding this doesn't make you a victim. It makes you prepared. And prepared is the only thing you need to be. But how did the system work on the inside? It was a classic pyramid dressed in technological clothing. You deposited Bitcoin into the platform. You received Bitconnect tokens in return. Those tokens paid the so-called 1% per day, supposedly coming from the bot. But the bot didn't exist. So where did the payments come from? From the money of new entrants and from manipulation of the token's own price. The platform controlled the token's issuance, controlled liquidity, controlled price. It pumped the value whenever it needed to show growth, created artificial profit on the screens of those already inside. Those who entered early withdrew real money, and that created real testimonials. Real testimonials generated real trust. Real trust attracted more people. More people brought more money. More money paid the earlier ones. As long as money came in faster than it went out, the scheme worked. It was mathematically inevitable that one day the flow would reverse. Every pyramid has a collapse point. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the organizers knew that from day one. They built the scheme to last long enough, not to last forever, to extract the maximum before the castle fell. And when that moment came, those at the top had already cashed out. They had converted tokens into Bitcoin, Bitcoin into dollars, dollars into real estate. Those left to turn off the lights were always the small investors, the families, the enthusiasts, the ones who believed last. That is the heart of every Ponzi scheme. It's not about winning. It's about lasting long enough to look legitimate. And Bitconnect lasted more than a year, long enough to destroy billions and disappear without a trace. But how did such a fragile scheme last so long? The answer lies in who promoted it. Crypto YouTubers with audiences of 100, 200, 500,000 subscribers. They recorded videos with titles like, "How I'm Making 1% per Day with Bitconnect." They showed withdrawal screenshots, full wallets, satisfied smiles. It's legitimate. I've already withdrawn my money. I totally trust it. Each one with an exclusive referral link in the description, because every person who joined through that link generated automatic commission. Some knew it was fraud and participated anyway. They calculated the risk, decided it was worth it. Others were genuinely naive. They had fallen into the scheme themselves. They believed too, and shared it with the same conviction as someone helping. But the outcome was the same in both cases. Borrowed legitimacy, transferred trust, diverted money. A creator with 500,000 followers saying something is legitimate is equivalent to 500,000 positive testimonials. The human brain does not clearly distinguish that difference. If someone I follow trusts it, the probability of it being true increases in my mind. That's basic psychology of transferred trust. And content creators know this. Not all use that power consciously, but the impact is the same, conscious or not. And when the scheme collapsed, many simply deleted the videos. No lawsuit, no refunds, no immediate consequence. This raises a question you need to carry from now on. When an influencer recommends an investment to you, what is their real incentive? Do they want you to win, or did they already win just by convincing you to join? That question can save your wealth. January 2018. Regulators in the states of Texas and North Carolina issued simultaneous orders. Cease operations immediately. The United States SEC formalized investigations. And then it happened. On an ordinary morning, Investors around the world tried to access the platform. Error 404. Nothing. The page had vanished. No warning, no statement, no explanation. Within hours, the Bitconnect token lost more than 90% of its value. More than $2 billion evaporated, not in a gradual crash that gives you time to react, in an instant collapse that gave no one a chance. People who had profit on the screen at 10 in the morning had lost everything by 2 in the afternoon. And Carlos Matos disappeared. He posted an apology video that seemed genuine. I lost everything too. I believed too. He was crying, he seemed devastated. But for thousands of families, that changed absolutely nothing. People who sold their car to invest, who mortgaged their apartment believing the promise, parents who put in decades of retirement savings, young people who took loans to invest in the future, people who borrowed money from family to get in before it closed. Their money never came back. And the real founder of the scheme? He was never publicly identified with certainty. He vanished along with the billions, as if he had never existed. That is the perfect scam. So big it seems impossible, so public it seemed legitimate, and so well constructed that even after the collapse, many still didn't believe it had been fraud. So why do intelligent people fall for this kind of thing? Because the scheme wasn't built to deceive fools. It was built to exploit universal psychological mechanisms. Mechanisms that exist in you, in me, in any human being. First trigger, charismatic language and belonging. Carlos Matos wasn't the leader of the scheme. He was the emotional amplifier. His energy created human warmth, community, collective identity. When you shout together with 500 people, you stop being an individual, you become part of something. And when you're part of something, abandoning it feels like betrayal. It feels like weakness. It feels like defeat. When your critical defenses drop, any argument against it feels like a personal attack. It's not rational analysis. It's identity protection. You're no longer defending an investment. You're defending who you decided to be. Second trigger, the cult of authority disguised as wisdom. In every financial scheme, there is a guru. Someone who discovered what the system doesn't want you to know. Someone who challenges banks, governments, the powerful. Following that guru makes you feel special, above average, on the right side. It makes you feel like you finally escaped the matrix, and nobody wants to go back to the matrix after thinking they escaped. Questioning the guru feels like questioning your own intelligence. That's why loyalty is so fierce and so dangerous. The guru can be wrong, the guru can lie, the guru can disappear. But until the last second, followers defend. Because defending the guru is defending the version of yourself that believed in them. Third trigger, the dream of financial freedom as fuel. People weren't investing in Bitconnect. They were investing in the dream of not having a boss, of waking up without an alarm clock, of traveling without asking permission, of paying the bill without checking the balance, of giving their family what they never had. When someone sells that dream with numbers and cheering crowds, the logic shuts down. Emotion takes full control. Because it's no longer about money, it's about identity, it's about dignity, it's about hope. And attacking the investment is attacking the dream. Nobody accepts that with open arms. Fourth trigger, social proof on an industrial scale. YouTubers, friends, live events, profit screenshots. When everyone around you seems to be winning, not participating feels stupid. The human brain was evolutionarily programmed to follow the group. Being outside the group was dangerous in the savannah. It still feels dangerous today. Even if the group is walking toward the abyss, that tribal instinct is stronger than any technical analysis, stronger than any expert warning, stronger than any visible red flag. And that silent social pressure is more powerful than any rational argument. These four triggers are not exclusive to Bitconnect. They are the basic toolkit of every financial fraud that has ever existed. And they will continue to be used as long as human beings have emotions. There's no vaccine against this. There is only awareness. And awareness starts exactly here, in this video, in this moment, with you understanding how the game works before sitting at the table. Now the question that really matters, Bitconnect fell, but the signals are still active. In other projects, in other platforms, in other coins. First sign, fixed yield with no explanation of origin. If a project promises guaranteed return, and does not explain in detail how it generates that return, you are looking at a black box. And black box in the financial market has a name: fraud. It doesn't matter how sophisticated the technical language is. It doesn't matter how impressive the white paper is. It doesn't matter how many zeros the user count has. If there is no verifiable and auditable explanation, there is no legitimate investment. Second sign: influencer with affiliate link and no conflict disclosure. Every creator who promotes an investment and has a referral link is being paid to convince you. That's not necessarily fraud, but it is a real conflict of interest. And you need to know that before making any decision. Always ask, how much does this creator earn if I join? If the answer is significant and not openly disclosed, be suspicious. The creator's financial incentive is inversely proportional to their objectivity. The more they earn from your entry, the less they are on your side. Third sign: community where questioning is seen as betrayal. You joined a Telegram group, Discord, or any network and asked something critical about the project. What happened? If you were attacked, silenced, called a fudder, you are in a financial cult. Legitimate projects encourage debate. Frauds need to suffocate doubt to survive. Doubt is the #1 enemy of any pyramid. That's why they eliminate those who doubt before doubt spreads. Fourth sign: artificial urgency. Buy now before the price goes up. Only 48 more hours to secure the bonus. Whoever joins later will pay more. Real urgency exists in the market. Artificial urgency is manipulation. The difference lies in who creates the pressure and why. If the urgency comes from the project and not from the market, it's a warning sign. Urgency is the tool that shuts down critical thinking the fastest, because when you're in a hurry to decide, you don't have time to analyze. And that is exactly the goal. You know these 4 patterns now, and knowledge is the only protection that cannot be hacked. There's no firewall that blocks it, no bug that exploits it. It's yours, permanently. Bitconnect was not the first. OneCoin came before, $4 billion, a coin that technically never existed. There was no real blockchain. There were no real transactions, just a fake database. But there was a guru. There were live events, there were powerful speeches, and there were billions of people willing to believe. Terra Luna came after Bitconnect, 40 billion destroyed in 72 hours. A project that seemed solid, technical, with real use cases. And that collapsed the same way as all the others, because the problem was never only technological. FTX came after. Sam Bankman-Fried smiling on magazine covers while using customer money, donating to social causes, talking about responsible regulation, building the image of a hero while destroying fortunes. The pattern doesn't change. Only the name, only the outfit, only the vocabulary. The structure is always the same. Impossible promise, charismatic guru, fabricated social proof, inevitable collapse. And as long as there is human desire for financial freedom, there will be someone ready to sell it with a well-packaged lie. Well presented, well distributed, well amplified. Your only defense is understanding how manipulation works before being manipulated. Not after. Before. Because after is too late. That's what we do here. We decode what is hidden beneath the hype. We show the mechanism behind the magic. Not to make you cynical, to make you free. Free to decide with clarity instead of deciding with fear and euphoria. Free to question the guru without feeling guilty. Free to leave the community without feeling like you're betraying someone, because in the end, the only commitment that matters is to your own mind, to the money you took years to build, to the dreams that depend on intelligent decisions. Behind every coin there is code, and sometimes that code is manipulation. If this video opened your eyes, leave a like. The algorithm needs it so I can keep bringing these cases to you. Subscribe, because the next episode exposes another scheme that moved billions, and you've probably already heard of it. Until then, question everything, especially what seems too good.